by historian. I'm going to give you a few facts for historically for August 13th. And this is a pretty special day for me because August 13th is my birthday. So I'm going to give you some facts that occurred on August 13th historically. So, hey, if you want to follow, you can follow me here, but you can also follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Negro League Man. And you can find me all over the place as at Negro League Man. So let's get right into it. Okay, August the 13th, 1908. Will Bynes, an African-American umpire, age 35, died after umpiring a baseball game in West Palm Beach, Florida. And after dinner on Byron Street, he was leaving and fell to the pavement. His death was due to heart failure and acute indigestion. You know, there's a lot of history down there in West Palm Beach. We're talking about teams like the Breakers and Royal Ponciano. A lot of guys went down there, played winter baseball. There's never been a really good book written on that, but I've researched it and talked about it quite a bit. You know, Saul White was down there, taking teams down there early on, and later on C.I. Taylor and Rube Foster. Great history, some great things. There was a guy from my hometown pitched down there. His name was Dick Whitworth, and Dick Whitworth lived off of 5th Street. He started in Kansas City, Kansas, even though he was originally from St. Louis, but ended up in Kansas City, Kansas some kind of way, and started his career off with Bullet Rogan there, playing for the Palace Colts in 1910. So anyway, 1909, 1910, right in there. So that's one of the facts, okay? And then let's jump to another one. August 13th, 1931, the Kansas City Monarchs edged the minor league Omaha Packers by a 4-3 score at Omaha's Western League Park before a crowd of 2,800 fans, and Charlie Beverly received credit for the win. Now, that's the guy that we should talk about more. Charlie Beverly, he was a Satchel Paige kind of pitcher, but he was a lefty, but he had none of the color that Satchel Paige had. He just came out and just did his job. He was one of the Monarchs' great pitchers during the, I'd say probably the early 30s, maybe about 31, he really started to come on. By 34, he was going strong. Actually, he outpitched Dizzy Dean and his brother Paul in 1934. I wrote about that in a book. It was called the Dizzy and Daffy Dean Tour Race Media and America's National Pastime. You can go read about that. So, but yeah, Charlie Beverly out of Houston, Texas. He was a good friend of Bullet Rogan, and I have Bullet Rogan's personal address book, and that Charlie Beverly was a longshoreman later on. So we'll go to another fact. How about this one? August 13th, 1935, legendary pitcher Jim Mudcat Grant is born in, what's that? I'm not even sure how you pronounce it. Lacoches, Florida. Of course, he recorded a 21-7 record for the Minnesota Twins in 1965. Became the first African American pitcher to win 20 games in a season in the American League. So anyway, we don't talk about Jim Mudcat Grant enough. Now, he did get a lot of accolades because he lived, you know, for a long time. And interesting thing, I had a picture of Mudcat Grant when he was playing for the Dodgers. And every time he would come to Kansas City, when I would take the picture down, you know, he wouldn't be there. So I would miss him. And then, of course, when I didn't take the picture down, he would be there. So I talked to him many times and never got that picture signed. So hopefully one of these days I'll get an autograph and I put them side by side because I didn't get the original picture signed. Hey, also, he was an entertainer. So he had a little group that he used to put together, and when he used to come to Kansas City to the Negro League events there, they would have him sing a line or two of a blues song. So Mudcat Grant, and that's one of those great nicknames. I love that nickname. He was a pitcher that I was able to see as a little kid, following, you know, Kansas City teams. And so we'll go to another one. 1935, August 13th, before a crowd of 4,000 Monarchs, the Kansas City Monarchs, Charlie Beverly whiffed 10 House of David batters in Kansas City's 5-2 win at Omaha, Nebraska at the Western League Park. Interesting. Got two things that happened in the Western League Park, two things for Charlie Beverly on this day. So we talked about Charlie Beverly a little bit before then. Omaha was a great city for the Negro Leagues because, especially Kansas City Monarchs, it was almost like at the crossroads. So the Kansas City Monarchs would come through there, and they would come at different hours of the night. Of course, Council Bluffs, Iowa, is right across, I guess you might say right across the river from Omaha, and that was also an important city for the Kansas City Monarchs. I remember a story. I was speaking in Council Bluffs, and a guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, I want to tell you a story about my dad had a service station." And he said that they had given the Kansas City Monarchs keys to the service station. So the Monarchs could be riding on their bus. They could come through any hour at night, open up the service station, turn on the pumps, get their own gas, leave the money, and keep on going. Traveling secretary at that particular time was William Dismukes. And so they would leave the money there. And so that is an important area. Omaha is a good baseball town, even to this day, of course, with the College World Series. I'm going to jump to another one here. Let's go 1947. August 13, 1947. Willard Brown's 8th inning inside the park home run off of Hall of Famer Hal Newsom tied the St. Louis Browns at 5-all in a twilight doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers. The hit became the first American League home run by an African American in Major League Baseball history. We'll just say American League history. And so, okay, we can talk about Willard Brown. I had the pleasure of meeting Willard Brown. And actually, he was married to Dorothy, and I spoke at Dorothy's funeral. She lived here in Kansas City, long after, they had separated, and Brown had moved down to Houston. And Brown's son was also here. I knew his son real well. There's some great pictures of his son in some of my books where his son is wearing his Cub Scout uniform. And so I actually knew his son and knew his wife. So anyway, that's great history. I could talk a lot about that one, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and close. I may come back with a part 2. There's so many things that happened on August 13th, but for now, I'm going to sign off. So, hey, if you want to follow me, I encourage you to do that. I'm going to give you history, and I'm going to drop some facts. And a lot of these people I met, I keep saying, these are not things I got out of a book or anything like that. So thanks, everyone, for joining in tonight. And come back and catch me tomorrow. Okay, have a nice day.